Welcome back. Some breaking news coming in. Prime Minister Modi's cabinet has cleared a proposal for the One Nation, One Election bill. It is a milestone move aimed at the simultaneous conduct of Lok Sabha and state polls. The government maintains that this will cut down on expenses and reduce logistical hurdles in the voting process of the world's largest democracy. However, the Union Cabinet's move has drawn sharp reactions from the opposition. The Congress party has reiterated its concerns, calling the move distressing. The Grand Old Party has called a meeting of senior leaders to chalk out a strategy for debate in the parliament. Meanwhile, TMC Supremo and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has slammed the move, branding it anti-federal. She has stated that it is an authoritarian imposition designed to undermine India's democracy and federal structure. Additionally, Aam Aadmi Party National Convener Arvind Kejriwal has also chimed in, stating that this move illustrates the misplaced priorities of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But that's not all. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has stated that it is an impractical and anti-democratic move that will erase regional voices, erode federalism and disrupt governance as well. Arzu Seth, my colleague, is joining us for more on this. Arzu, the central government had made it very, very clear that they will be going ahead with the implementation of One Nation, One Poll. But what we're getting to know at this point in time, that the bill has been cleared. In fact, all the formalities which are required to implement the One Nation, One Bill proposal have at a larger stage been cleared.
Well, yes, Vineet, and now the reactions have poured in after the Union Cabinet approved the One Nation, One Election proposal, with sources stating that the central government plans to introduce a comprehensive bill on the matter next week during the ongoing winter session of the parliament. Also, we talk about top opposition leaders, including the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, condemned the bill, calling it anti-democratic and unauthorized authoritarian move designed to undermine India's democracy. If we talk about Trinamool Congress Supremo Mamata Banerjee criticized the bill, stating that the Union Cabinet had bulldozed through an unconstitutional and anti-federal One Nation, One Election bill. She added that her party's MP would oppose this bill in the parliament. Also, we talk about the Aam Aadmi Party Supremo Arvind Kejriwal, the former Chief Minister of Delhi. He also tweeted emphasizing his critique of the BJP's push for the One Nation, One Election proposal, arguing that the government should prioritize other critical issues like education, healthcare, instead by suggesting that the One Nation, One education, One Nation, One healthcare system. And also, Kejriwal highlights the need for uniformity and equality in access to education, healthcare across the country, areas that directly affect the citizens' life. But also, on the other side, he reflects a broader political debate with the opposition leaders questioning whether the government focus aligns with the pressing
appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for those updates. Moving on, amidst a debate over alimony meant to an alleged abetment of suicide in the Atul Subhash case, Supreme Court has laid down 8 guidelines to determine the amount of permanent alimony in the divorce cases. The case pertains to one Praveen Kumar Jain, who has been ordered to pay rupees 5 crore in alimony to his wife, including rupees 1 crore for the financial security of his adult son. We will first look at the guidelines laid down by the Supreme Court and then ask the question, what balance needs to be created or found between giving the wife a fair share and not exploiting the husband? Joining us on the show at this point in time is Advocate Khushbu Jain. She's a lawyer from the Supreme Court. Advocate Shamshavish Rain, advocate, also joins us on the broadcast. Tahira Hassan, women's activist, with us on the program as well. But before, in fact, I throw questions at them, I'm going to go over to the big screen and try and explain what exactly happened here and why is it so important for us to discuss this, especially in light of what happened with Atul in Bangalore. Okay, so Supreme Court's 8 alimony guidelines. Factor 1, the Supreme Court says the social and financial status of the parties is an absolute determinant in deciding what kind of alimony is to be given. Factor number 2, the reasonable needs of the wife and the dependent children as well. Is this something which is superfluous in nature? Is this related to basic? Is what the Supreme Court is saying at this point in time. Factor number 3, the qualifications and employment status of both the parties. If the wife is working, the husband is not, and the husband is working and the wife is not, the quantum of alimony will completely change. Factor number 4, the applicant's independent income of assets is also an important, very important factor here. Factor number 5, the standard of living enjoyed by the wife in the matrimonial home is also something that should decide what the alimony is going to be. Factor number 6, career sacrifices made by either spouse for family responsibilities. A number of times we see wives quitting their jobs to take care of the household, the children, and the husband. Factor number 7, litigation expenses for a non-working wife also need to be considered. This is an important factor. Factor number 8, the husband's financial capacity, income, and existing liability. So all of these factors are absolutely necessary to determine what kind of alimony is supposed to be given here. Is this something which is going to border on exploitation? Is this something which is going to be the rightful amount that the wife can claim? That's exactly what we will discuss with our guests. Khushbu, I'm going to come to you. Well, in light of what's happened in Bangalore, in light of what happened to Atul Subhash as well, the gentleman who committed suicide, it has thrown open this huge barrage of, logics as well as opinions when it comes to the misuse of the law in ascertaining money or alimony or support from the husband or from the wife. When you look at what's happened very, very recently, and when you also look at the kind of misuse especially of the law when it comes to these cases, how do you think it is important, and why do you think it is important for every lawyer, every responsible judicial body to make sure that these tenets which are laid down by the Supreme Court are followed?
See, one has to keep in mind very clearly that each case is very different, but at the same time, there are general basic principles which are being laid down by the court, the Supreme Court, which you just narrated, that has to be kept in mind, not just by lawyers, but also the litigants who come to the lawyers. One has to understand that just because you're getting separated, you cannot ask for something which is impossible for the other person to do it, number one. Number two, which comes more as an harassment than as a due, which ideally one should have given, because one has to understand the basic behind that. The basic was that as a party, as a woman, when you go and get married, you become dependent. There are issues involved into it, and there is some level of years that I have spent in that house. Now, with that comes that my stature is equivalent to the matrimonial house that where I have been. My financial dependency is on the person, because we divide our ancient culture. We divided the roles very clearly, where women were the one not to work, to provide their years when it comes to taking care of the family, when it comes to the aspect which none of us can forget, when it comes to bearing a child and taking care of the child. And with that is where these things come in place, that just by the fact of divorce, you cannot deny what she has gone through that and provide that financial support. Now, when this comes in play, this is where it should be restricted to. Like, for example, one point where you put in very clearly that the quantum can be, it has to be each on its own, but it has to be decided on not apart from reasonability, it has to be with respect to the standard of the matrimonial house. The same standard will be considered of a woman, and that's how it has to be. But that's where I think one has to understand that this cannot be crossed. You cannot ask for something which is beyond the capacity of that person. And I think when it comes to matrimonial cases, it cannot be one side, but you have to also look into the aspect that I think Reen will agree with me over here very clearly, that what kind of papers are being put in. People don't share their financials. The men, the family of the boys do not share the exact financials which are there. And I'm not even denying that there are misuse which are being done by the women as well. So these are that's where I think that delicate balance. That's where these 8 guiding principles are being given by the court to keep in line that these are the basics one has to rely upon, apart from each case that one has to come in play. Now, when it comes to the case which you're talking about, the Atul case, which has shook all of us, the whole country over here, because it just doesn't involve the aspect of fight between the two, but also that how he was being unhappy when it comes to the process, dependency, the number of years that happened, one has to go through when it comes to judiciary, which has made all of us think on the aspect of speedy trial, accountability, transparency, and also the aspect of, the definition of abetment for that matter, coming in here, that what exactly is abetment. So I think that's something which everybody, all of us are going to discuss about and to understand. But when it comes to abetment, I think there have been enough and more of judgments to put upon, and there is not a clear, apart from the three things that come in, there is not a clear definition that can put in across against the women who's been there, because both of them took the legal recourse. In the legal recourse, if one is unhappy, just by this many facts, one cannot just put something against the wife, but there are other guiding principles which are there when it comes to abetment, and if those ingredients are not being fulfilled, you cannot consider this as an abetment.
Right. Tahira ji, do you think that this is also exposed, or rather brought to light, a serious concern on how lopsided the equation has been when it comes to, discord between husband and wife and the pursuit of justice for either of them? Tahira ji?
I couldn't hear your question, full
Ma'am, do you
question.
think, ma'am, do
Because
you think that this incident has also exposed and brought to light that how lopsided the system is when it comes to seeking justice for men specifically?
yes, first thing I want to say, since I'm speaking most of the expressing my views on TV channels, most of the time I see that people are saying the women are misusing law. Women are mostly they are misusing law. Laws are misused by all. It's not only women. Few, either one women, two women, or few women. I think few percentage who commit crime. You cannot generalize the women. First thing I want to say. Second thing, the family court. Supreme Court has made the guideline. It's very good that women should also get the alimony depending on the financial capacity of the husband, to and make ensure that Supreme Court is saying that she should get a decent lifestyle, right? And no aim to penalize the husband in this case. This is a good, the Supreme Court has made the guideline. It should be followed by all the lower courts also. But what about the family courts? Overcrowded, where judges are not sensitive enough, and they are not designed to recognize the mental health. I'm saying put the emphasis on this mental health, because judges are not going to recognize the mental health, and neither the lawyer nor the counselor. Psychiatric is essential there now. Many women have suicidal tendency. This has to be also taken in account. The whole thing has to be taken, and this family court was established for the speedy redressal of this family disputes. But you see that how long it takes. Even our women run from pillar to post to get the justice. So justice system has to be need some reform, but they need the judges also. Number of judges are very few, so increase the judges, number of judges in family court also. That is very important. And we cannot blame all the time to men or women. We should not see like that. Here, very sad. This shook really, as the earlier participant said, that it shook the entire nation, because we lost a young, dynamic man. He is a victim. And here the wife is, we all are seeing his culprit who is just harassing her. But it's a matter of investigation. It will be decided. If she was culprit, then she will be put behind the bars. But thing is this, we cannot decide right now, and we cannot say, and we should see it like that. It's a victim and culprit. You can't say the women, all the men are just committing suicide. In one of the channels, some participant was saying, the men are all, most of the men are 90%, 80% men are committing suicide because of women. It is not that the women are also suffering, men are also suffering. It depends to individual. It depends that sometimes the compatibility is not there. Two people are very nice husband and wife, but they can't live together. So this should be, the divorce should be an easier process, and this can be done only if we improve the functioning of this family court.
Shamshavish, where do you stand on this? I mean, I agree with Tahiraji that if one person from a particular gender has gone through a particular turmoil or a complication, and that has resulted in a suicide, it'll be unfair to blame the other gender.
I would totally agree to what Ms. Hassan has said, but starting with this, that the 8 point that Honorable Supreme Court has actually laid down are exactly the points that all the courts actually look into. They always see what is the financial status, whether the wife was at home or not. So it's just that courts always look at all of these points. It's just that now Supreme Court has just written it down. Otherwise, every court has been doing it. So one thing more that everyone needs to mention is that meeting the kids in the family. That point also should be pointed out. I mean, custody becomes a actually battle. And then, as previous speaker spoke, that yes, mental health is a problem here. When you have any kind of a difficulty in your personal life, no matter from which field you are in, if you have a problem with your spouse, it will always affect your mental health. As a couple of months back, if you remember, wherein a wife had killed her own son because the husband had taken custody from the court in Goa. So these things actually shows that yes, there is some mental health issues going on happening, and the judges need to understand that they also need to be trained that how to deal with the family matters. Even the lawyers also. We, in fact, in the court keep on seeing that the lawyers start arguing with the clients in the court that you have said this and that, whereas you are not able to understand the one who has come to the court. He or she is so frustrated in their life. They have a lot of problems. So dealing with them, it is itself is a problem. So they have their own family issues. Your working space. You don't have money. The wives don't have money in their pockets. But as it is said that this is one off. After 1,000, one husband would come and say that I am being harassed in the court. Otherwise, there are 999 wives who are actually harassed. So we have matters wherein the husband comes from a very well-to-do family, but the document that he submits in the court is that he's working as a clerk in his own father's company, and he will have a appointment letter. He will have a salary slip also. So these kind of wrong things have been happening, and the woman keeps on running from pillar to post. Even in this matter, I'm not sure that what all thing is there in the news, is it real fact or not. But as it is said that out of 120 dates, 40 dates he has appeared, which means that 80 dates that girl had to go to court and come back. So it's not that only the husband who had suffered. It was the wife also who was suffering, that he was not appearing in the court. And yes, the best answer to all of these, especially matrimonial dispute, is via mediation. The matter should be solved. It should be made mandatory that every matrimonial dispute should be sent for a pre-litigation mediation first, and then if the problem is not solved, then you can come to the court. There only the ego gets satisfied. You have the money in your hand, you have the custody, you are talking about the divorce. Otherwise, this kind of mindset comes कि हम तो आपको जेल में जाके देखेंगे. I will send you to jail. And then the husband says, oh, a person enters the jail, which is very embarrassing. The very first day, very first hour of entering a jail is very harassment there, because the kind of scrutiny is done and all of that. So we know that those families, those husband and wife who have been in love, and they were there in that marriage for a couple of years or months or whatsoever, they are not able to understand that, all right, we were friends at some point of time. Now we are not able to work together. Let's move out, let's move into a different space, and let's see that how we both can um, live a peaceful life. So pre-litigation mediation is a must, wherein the government should actually, after this case especially, should act on it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Let's also hear from Nirmal Kaur, former IPS officer, on what she thinks is going on over here. Nirmal Kaur ji, this is obviously a topic which is it's a debate. It can take either side, and it can obviously take the side of something which has recently happened in Bangalore as well. Where do you stand on this? And do you think that there's been a misuse of law by women in our country, and that has not been highlighted, and such things only come up when a suicide like this happens and a case goes sensational throughout the nation?
Case is concerned, there are all kinds of people, saying all kinds of things left, right, center, and 360 degrees. I have read, received the statement written by him and the video. I think it is everywhere in the public domain. And I read the statement with a lot of interest 3, 4 times. And I also saw the video. And I think this suicidal tendency thing seems to be false. He was of course, the marriage turned sour, and he entered into some kind of business venture with his in-laws, and who started extorting him. That's what apparently one makes out of the letter. But he met a very, very corrupt system, where the system also did not help him. He cases were filed. He wanted divorce, and definitely one thing is sure, that he felt very, very harassed and tortured. Otherwise, he wouldn't take this extreme step. He doesn't look that suicidal tendency kind of a person. Yes, decent person he seems, because he's afraid of what, or he's worried about what, that he's getting a bad name. His reputation is being spoiled. So all that, I think the wife herself was working for Accenture. So it's not that she's unemployed. Why is she harassing him for that kind of money? And the income being taken, all of us earn, what my salary is and what at the end of the day I get. 30% straight away goes. For the purpose of alimony, for the purpose of all this, in the examination, the salary before tax was taken. You know what C2C is, these private companies. C2C is something, for which, if you see their lifestyle, it is that of maybe a bank officer, otherwise their C2C will be so high. So this kind of a thing, there's of course that 8 point, suggestive thing, but every case is different, mind you. And counseling people, deeply investigating into what is the matter, was there actually any, like she left with all the gold according to him, and they demanded 1 crore initially, then 3 crores. They met through shadi.com, and this went on. I feel, that traditionally women were not working. They were confined to the home. They did not have any rights. So laws have been enacted which really, really favor women. Affirmative action for women is really strongly being taken up by enacting many laws. But now that women are coming out, they are in spaces, and now people have 1 or 2 children. They either have only one daughter or son, or only 2 daughters. So the daughters are being as pampered, as well brought out, as well educated. So things are changing. Laws have to be made more gender neutral, and this recent attempt at these three, IPC, CRPC, and Evidence Act, changing to the three new laws that we got as of 1st of July. They are definitely more gender neutral, but the implication and the implementation both yet are to be kind of, like in this case we see, I would call it a miscarriage of justice. When, having gone through the video 2, 3 times and reading his statement, as a layman, as somebody who spent 40, 50 years in law enforcement, I feel, that definitely this life could have been saved if the system was sympathetic to him. Okay, the wife turned against him, but the system also, and this jurisdiction. The jurisdiction in a matrimonial dispute is either the place where the couple lived or where the marriage took place. So it seems that the marriage took place in Jaunpur. That's how case was being tried in Jaunpur. So that kind of then these days virtual court is available. This virtual court facility should have been given to him, because he's a working man. How will he earn? These private companies, MNCs, they demand so much of their employees. We see friends and relatives and youngsters all over. They're working so hard, something like 70 hours a day, or no, sorry, 70 hours a week or even more. They're working so much. People are working so much. They come today, tomorrow the whole day they are in the conference. Next morning again they leave for Hyderabad. This kind of life these MNCs give you. The burnout is so fast because the life is very stressful. I feel that the laws, of course, have been made for protection of women, but every case should be deeply examined. We had I mean, I've seen people deeply go into what kind of event the marriage was, what is the lifestyle of the girl before she got married, what is their lifestyle. Two people living together in an establishment definitely would cut the cost. If one establishment has to be made separately, that cannot be as lavish as when a house was shared by two people. So that kind of that also has to be factored in. The actual reality, the income after tax, the standing expenses like Bangalore, the rents are very high. Even this lady, Nikita Singhania, the wife, she was working in Accenture in Delhi, which itself is a very good company, one of the big four to work for. And why is her income not being taken up? So I think there definitely is the justice. I mean, the process of justice could have been better, more fair and more inclusive, and also taking into, after all, if he has to pay alimony or money or whatever, first he has to be working. He has to do his job diligently, which he cannot. If he's 120 days, 120 appearances, he and his family were made to put in, and all kinds of cases, exaggerations. I mean, I
Right.
think it's the lawyers that tell them
You're
that you
absolutely
add
right.
this, you add this, you add this. They exaggerate it so that they say we have a better bargaining position. So they
Right.
add all kinds of false and fake things.
Right. Kushbu wants to come in. Kushbu, I also want to, in fact, ask you about the allegations which have been made here against the judge in this case. They are quite serious in nature. They obviously expose a side to the judiciary, that no one really talks about.
Ah, see, Vineet, as I said, you cannot just take a statement and go against the whole system about it. I understand that there is lacuna in the justice system, and it starts not from there. It starts from the police, right from filing an FIR and the difficulty they face in filing the FIR and the way police continue the entire process to the level of passing of the judgment. Till that, the entire process has to be streamlined in a manner that it is accounted for. There is a transparency over there. The people who are putting misuse to that position and power in this entire process, there is something called as accountability over there. There is something called as transparency over there, and there is no abuse of power. Right from the police level, I'm being very open and candid on the national television, but I'm being there seeing this happening right from the start. That's number one. The number two that you have to talk about is, see, I understand that there is a statement that has been made, but just by that statement, one cannot put
Hello,
across, make any statement possible. One has to look into the seriousness of it and whether it has happened, whether
yes,
there are any evidences with that respect or not. With
I'm
respect
at
to
home.
what has been happening, with respect to number of hearings that is happening, I think that has been addressed in the new law that has come in, which says that 80 or 190 days are the days which one has to conclude the from the framing of the charges to the final date. And I think there are speedy trial part that has been taken care of. There is an involvement of technology in judiciary now that has been coming up with the new three laws, where you can record your statement online, where you can request, if you can't travel, that cross examination can be done via video conferencing. There's also an element where online hearings can be one which can be opted in these scenarios. So I think all these things together will make sure, because there are days where one cannot travel, one doesn't get holiday. There are days when the other party is not being able to come in the court. There are days where lawyers are not being able to come due to paucity of time, or they are representing some other matter in another court. So looking into all these things, if there is an aspect of online hearing that can be done, or recording of statements or cross examination that can be done, I think that will solve a lot of time, which is a issue over here. So the time aspect of it, I absolutely agree that justice delayed is denied, and that time plays a very crucial role. And I think that also impacted a lot when it comes to his mental status and trauma which he went through. Uh, and I think that is being addressed. It has to come into the system where we have to increase the capacity of our courts, also the capacity of, the when it comes to they making our courts technology enabled. I'm not talking about the courts in the metros, but I'm talking about all the courts right from the start to end, that all these things are equipped in such a manner
All right.
that the ability of technology can be taken by us. One more point I'm making,
Quickly,
Vigneet, that there is
quickly.
Yes, there is a section which is 248 in BNS which talks about false charges of offense made with an intent to injure somebody. And there is a punishment which can go up to 5 years and 10 years if somebody is making a false case. And in matrimony cases, Supreme Court has taken some views that you are filing a false matrimony case or false maintenance or something else. If it has been found that it is with the intent, malicious intent to injure, you can file for a case against them and there is a punishment up to 5 years on that person. So I think instead of going whether it is gender neutral or not, it is being created, I agree with Tahira ji, and if such scenarios, one or two incident that comes in, this section can be utilized.
All right, we've completely run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined us on this important and crucial and current topic. We take a short break on that note. Be right back.